Hi, welcome to another episode of TFT Hyperroll. This one is a little bit different than other episodes I have done, and you will see why as it goes along. I started by getting a Leona with a chain vest off the carousel, which is something I like to do because then I know I can immediately try to get a Sunfire Cape on her, and having a Sunfire Cape on a tanky character is great. I picked up a Varus and a Vayne for an early Ranger buff, although in all honesty I'm not expecting to win at this point since they're both 1 star. But this brings me to what I wanted to do with this video and this match. Back in Season 3 there was a combination that was called Brawlers and Blasters, and it was kind of the most simplistic concept of the way I explain TFT to people. Just to bring you into this match here, I decided to put out Thresh as the second so that I would create the Forgotten buff along with Varus, because if they could win, then that would increase their AP throughout the rest of the match. But TFT comes down to a very basic concept, which is strong front line, strong back line. That's really in essence what you're going for. And in Season 3 there was a combination known as Brawlers and Blasters that just encompassed that. You had a really beefy front line, and then you had a bunch of characters that shot from the back line. And if you put them together, you could win pretty easily. In this season, I was searching for the combination that could actually best encompass that concept. And I was thinking, you know what? Maybe Knights and Rangers could make this work. 4 Knights, 4 Rangers, and then a flex character, and we could have a lot of fun. After an initial rough start in the very first round, things are looking up as we get a spatula, we get a sword and a Negatron cloak, which can make Bloodthirster, and our Radiant items are looking good. With a Luminous Deathblade, that is an awesome item to put on Rangers. So it's an easy pickup right here. As we itemize up these characters for the next round, let me take a moment to tell you about this channel. It's called Mission4Tution, and we created it to help pay for our son's middle and high school tuition. He has to go to a special school, and it is very expensive. We don't ask for donations, we don't even have a link for them. But we get money from the ad revenue on the videos. So if you can like this video, if you do like this video, please hit that like button, because that will help YouTube send it out to more people, and thus we'll get more views and thus more revenue for tuition. This build is currently at a midpoint because we have the 3 Rangers and 3 Knights, so we're not really set in any one direction. We don't have enough Knights to trigger that 4th Knight buff, and we don't have enough Rangers to get the extra speed. We replaced the Bronze Nautilus with a Silver Poppy just to add a little more tankiness to the front line. Right now this team has a lot of placeholders. Vayne is essentially sitting in for Aphelios, and I'm going to want to get a recursive bow to match up with that needlessly large rod to create a Rage Blade so that she can attack faster. But that will be transferred over to Aphelios when we get it. Also, we have Poppy and Nautilus sitting in for what will hopefully become Garen and Galio down the line. We still can't make that Rage Blade, but we can switch Poppy back out for Nautilus now that Nautilus is a 2-star. I decide to take a chance and go up to 4 Knights rather than just splitting the difference between 3 and 3, and I bring my Knights in close to serve as absolute protection around my characters. I'm rolling and rolling, but I am unable to find an Aphelios, which is what I'm really looking for. I have some Bronze Vaynes just sitting on the sidelines waiting for the point where I can switch everything over to Aphelios. Pulling them in seems to have helped because it's allowed a little bit more protection, but against Cannoneers, it's just not going to matter because they actually have the Cannoneer emblem. Our giant globe of happiness gives us the Tome of Traits, so we have a chance to get an additional emblem. And there's a Ranger emblem. It now seems like it might be possible to make 6. And for anyone who's ever played Thresh and Aram, I'm sure you've tried ADC Thresh, so I decide, hey, I'm going to use him for dual purpose. We now got our recursive bow, so we have Vayne all set to go. We've 3-starred the Leona, and I'm now feeling pretty good about this. We have 4 Rangers, we have 4 Knights. The only thing missing at this point is Aphelios. I want to switch these items over to Aphelios, who is a much, much, much stronger Ranger than Vayne. But you can see she's doing fine at this point. The front line is tanky enough to hold people back, and Vayne is strong enough with those items. We get Galio and replace the Poppy for now. At this point, I'm holding on to all of my knights because there's no reason to sell them, as I still have yet to see an Aphelios go by, so I might end up going with 6 knights, 4 rangers. Right now, this is looking pretty good after I put an Infinity Edge on Thresh, making his attacks crit on top of fast because he's now ADC Thresh the Ranger. A 2-star Galio, a Rageblade goes on Thresh, and I am looking at this match and saying, now if I could only get the Aphelios, it would be done. Rito was nice enough to give me some action, so I'm holding for that, as that will make a better character than at least Ashe, but I'm still holding out hope that I'm going to get Aphelios and be able to switch the items from Vayne over to Aphelios, who makes a really superior carry in a Ranger buff. Now, we've made it into the top 4, so overall this is a win, but I want to see how far I can push this. I want to maximize my Rangers, or at the very least maximize my Knights. You can see the Ranger buff is doing wonderfully at this point, as once Vayne speeds up, especially with that Luminous Deathblade, she is doing an immense amount of damage to the other team, and even an overly tanky Ranger Vladimir goes down to her with Vayne leading the damage charts. Now that we're up to level 9, it's time to pick up Garen. We still haven't seen the Aphelios, but we're up to 6 knights. So we're getting the absolute maximum protection we can on our 4 rangers. Now I know we're going to have to make some changes to make this work in the end, because a 2-star 1-cost Vayne is not going to make this work. So I quickly pull her out, put in the standard Vayne, and decide to move all my carry items over to action, because we just have not seen the Aphelios. As the second best ranger on the board, I hand Ashe the Giant Slayer and hope we can hold up. Action's going to be doing a lot of work from the outside, which will allow him to heal every time he does his ult. So you can see he goes out, swings around the board, heals back up, and is able to do his ult. Just keep looking for Aphelios. I really want to do the 6 rangers, but it just isn't happening. I'm buying Teemos. It doesn't matter. This game just does not want to give me Aphelioses so that I can do the 6 rangers. So at this point, I'm stuck with the rangers as they are. 4 rangers, 6 knight, as we get set to square off against someone who has a lot more health than us and can actually suffer a loss where if we lose, we're out instantly. They have an exceptionally strong team with Sentinel Cannoneer, and I am counting on my knights to block as much damage as possible and Action to do as much damage as possible, taking himself off the board and out of range of things every chance he gets. You can see it works absolutely brilliantly here, as every time he goes off, he heals back to full and comes back in with that much more attack damage. But we still wanted to go to the 6 rangers, and there's the Aphelios. So I decide, you know what, we're gonna go for it. It's time to do the 6 rangers. So I take my 2 weakest knights off the board, put out the 6 rangers. First time this entire season I've been able to get up to 6 rangers, because I was able to get the extra buff, see the opportunity to go for the Aphelios, sell off my knights. I now have a silver Aphelios, but no time to switch the items from Action to Aphelios. I'm hoping that the increased speed you get with the extra ranger buff is going to make a big difference. Action's doing his job as best as he can, leaving the board as he gets low and then coming back in full health. Unfortunately, comes back right into Lucian's line of fire, and we lose second place. I can't help but think that maybe I should have just stuck with the knights and the 4 rangers, but I had to try it. I had to see that 6th ranger symbol light up. Even though it was second place, I believe knights and rangers can work if you're lucky enough to get the right characters at the right time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.